In today's video, we are going to be talking about some new cameras which have entered the market in 2025 and some other cameras and lenses as well which are going to be entering or may not be entering in 2025. So without any further ado, let us get started with the video. Now before we begin, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. So while I was doing some research for this video, I came across two cameras from Canon. Now those two cameras are the Canon EOS R50V and the Canon PowerShot V1. Now these cameras were not out yet and they only got out on 26th of March 2025. But I do know that the Canon PowerShot V1 got an early launch in Asia, which I guess was earlier this month. So right over here, I've got the spec sheet for both of the cameras. Now we are only going to discuss, the tip of the ice and not everything in the video. I'm only going to be mentioning what is important and leave out what is not. So starting with the Canon EOS R50V, this camera is a small form factor camera and it consists of the RF lens mount, which means we get to have the interchangeable lens system. And of course, this camera is a cropped sensor camera and the sensor resolution being 24 megapixels. Now with the electronic shutter, we get to have 15 frames per second in burst mode photo. Now I do know that these cameras which Canon have launched are more video centric than photos. That's why with the Canon EOS R50V, which is an upgrade to its previous version, the R50. Now with the R50V, we do get the option to record in Canon Log 3 and the camera is also capable of recording in 10-bit 4:2. The other thing which I've seen Canon do with this camera is they have added vertical tripod socket on grip side of the camera and proves the point that this camera is centered towards video than photo. And of course with this camera we do not get the option for image stabilization, and this camera can also do 4K, which is of course over sampled from a 6K sensor. So these were some of the specs which caught my eyes and I wanted to share it with you all. Now when we talk about the price, it comes around at $600, whereas if we move on to the other camera from Canon, which is the PowerShot V1, it comes around at $900 or $899.99, which I guess is pretty expensive for just a point and shoot cameras. But although it's just a point and shoot camera, it comes with a ton of new features and I think that it will be really good if you're a vlogger or just a creator who just want to capture on the go, as it clearly mentions in their site that it's great for vlogging, video and live streaming, hence prove that this camera is centered towards content creators. As this camera is a point and shoot camera, it has a 16 to 50 millimeter f2.8 to f4.5 wide angle zoom lens. By this we can clearly state that with this camera, Canon is looking forward to or is centered towards more video centric feature with this camera, because we are not getting those zoom in capability with this camera like we used to get with Nikon point and shoot cameras and other Sony cameras as well. On the other hand, it has a 1.4 type 23.3 megapixel image sensor. Now I guess this is a bit downgrade from a 24.4 megapixel sensor which the EOS R50V has, but I really don't think that it's gonna affect it too much. On to the next, this camera has a feature which I have never seen in a point and shoot camera. That is, this camera has a cooling fan built in. Now with this Nikon Coolpix L340 models, and I guess Nikon has also launched another point and shoot camera and it does not get the cooling fan, but with the Canon PowerShot V1 we do get the internal cooling fan. And of course when we get those cooling fan, it means for longer shooting time at a higher resolution. And with this camera as well, we are also getting Canon Log 3 and a 10-bit color depth. And the base ISO for Canon Log 3 is at ISO 800, similar to Canon EOS R6miii. When we talk about the autofocus of this camera, we do get the Canon's renowned dual pixel autofocus 2 and also a Digic X processor and eye detection. And with this camera we also do get image stabilization, which with the EOS R50V we did not get. Now my honest opinion about these two cameras is that if you are someone who is into more video than vlogging, then of course you should go out with the Canon EOS R50V instead of the PowerShot V1. And there are some other reasons as well why someone would pick the R50V over the PowerShot 1, as the R50V also has a vertical tripod socket which can be really beneficial to someone who is into creating vertical videos. And it also has a bit of higher resolution than the PowerShot V1, whereas PowerShot V1 can be perfect for someone who is into only vlogging and experimenting with new technology as well, whereas I guess the Canon PowerShot 1 can be for someone who is a true vlogger, or for someone who is just getting started out with vlogging, or if you are a gamer, or it can be for someone who loves to film tutorials videos, as it can act as a perfect webcam. So these were my honest thoughts and opinion about the Canon EOS R50V and the PowerShot V1. Now if you want to see a full in-depth review of these cameras, make sure to leave a comment down below, and if you want to check them out for yourself, I'll make sure to leave a link down below. While Canon released the PowerShot V1 and the R50V, Canon also launched the two new lenses, being the RFS 14 to 30mm f4 to f6.3 STM lens, which is a lens that is designed with a variety of shooting scenarios and in needs of mind for cinematic video and live streaming, which means that this lens is perfect for the EOS R50V and other R series camera, such as the R7 and the EOS R8. Now the other lens which Canon have launched is the RF 20mm f1.4L VCM ultra wide lens, and this is the fourth addition to the Canon RF Prime series. Now with this lens we do expect a higher quality output, as this is a 20mm wide angle lens with a 1.4 aperture. This can be really perfect for number one, being like journalists, independent filmmakers, and many more, and which I think is a pretty good addition to the RF series. When we talk about the RF 14 to 30mm lens price, it is set around at $329.99, whereas the RF 20mm f1.4 LVCM lens is set around $1,700 and will be available to us in April. On to the next, let us talk about the Canon EOS R6 Mark III. This is also one of the long anticipated camera which hasn't been announced yet, and according to the source, the Canon rumors, it is rumored to be launched around in May of this year. Now what I think is that this R6 Mark III can also be announced in NAB 2025, but who knows, it may or it may not be. Now according to Canon rumors, it is said that the Canon EOS R6 Mark III is going to have a new flip design, which is similar to new Sony cameras. As with the Sony cameras, it flips out for the usual selfie rotation, and it also flips up and down. And lastly, Canon might also launch the R6 Mark III with a 24 megapixel stacked sensor, similarly to the EOS R3 system. Now this will be really awesome. We also expect Canon to give us the CF Express Type B slot, and this will be a really awesome addition to the R6 lineup, as Sony and Nikon has already done it with their cameras. In addition to the stacked sensor, of course we are going to be getting the digic accelerator. Now as we all already know that Nikon has acquired RED. So of course this clearly means that Nikon is going to launch RED cameras with its Z mount. And of course Nikon has already launched the RED cameras with its new Z mount. And yes, the color of the ring is now changed to yellow instead of red, which we previously had. Do note that this is only for the Z mount. Now Nikon acquiring RED raises a question that Nikon cameras from now on are going to be more video centric. Now of course Nikon is going to add in some of the features from RED to its cameras, and of course there is also a rumor that Nikon is going to be launching a video centric camera which is similarly to the Sony FX3 and FX30. Now this is only a rumor. I do not have much info about this. If I will in the future, of course I'll make sure to update you all. Now if you have been following along with the video, make sure that you hit that subscribe, like and share button, as it helps a lot with the video production. So I have a question. Is RED also a potato now? Answer me down below in the comments. Though I really don't think that RED is a potato camera, because it is a high-end cinema camera company which is just acquired by Nikon now. And lastly, there is also a rumor that Nikon is going to be announcing the Z5 II, which is an upgrade from the Z5. Now the Z5 is also a really good camera, but the only place where it lacked was its autofocus. Now it's been years since the Z5 was out, and if Nikon is going to be launching the Z5 too, and this is after Nikon acquiring Red, I expect Nikon to put in some more video-centric features with the Z5 too. And lastly, of course, I cannot deny it, though we mock Nikon as a potato camera company, the picture style which Nikon outputs is really spectacular, and I really love the image output from a Nikon camera. So I guess we have reached towards the end of today's video. Now if you did enjoy this video and want to see more videos related to filmmaking, cameras and photography, make sure that you subscribe, like and share my channel with your fellow friends and fellow filmmakers and photographers as well. I guess this brings us towards the end of today's video. I'll see you in the next one.